Retro Kid, welcome aboard. I am live, here to talk about some Summerslam. What the hell was that main event? I'm going to get into that main event. Honestly, to be perfectly honest, it was about as painless as I could have possibly asked for, but I'll have more to say about it. Okay, so do we have anybody else in the chat? I just sent out the notice that I was live. And can everybody hear me okay? That's the other question I got. Can you guys hear me okay? What's up, Dragon Rider? How you doing? Audio's fine. Okay, good to know. Thank you. Okay. RP Jesus 316, welcome. Mr. Trousness, welcome aboard. Okay, it sounds like everybody can hear me. Okay, good. All righty, God. So that was SummerSlam. So what are your predictions for future New Japan storylines? That's a whole other discussion. I want to focus mostly on SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver at the end. I'm going to do SummerSlam first, but I want to get your guys' thoughts first. For those of you in the stream right now, what did you guys think of SummerSlam? Sounds like the main event didn't go over too well, based on my early, some of my the early indications from the chat. Okay, I got one good review for SummerSlam. Can we talk about New Japan and NXT? We're going to talk about NXT at the end, right after I'm done with SummerSlam. At that point, the show was so long, I was kind of happy that the main event was as short as it was. I was like, oh, thank God. Because I sent out like a tweet earlier. I was like, all right, WWE, if you could wrap this up before 11, or you can wrap this up by 11 p.m., I think we'll all be good. And they pretty much rushed through the last two matches to make that happen. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. I appreciate it when WWE does what I want them to do. Vinnie Mac, they tricked us. They had Braun get involved and not cash in to soften the blow. It felt like that's what they were doing. They kind of like they knew that people were going to shit on the Roman victory, so they threw Braun out there to kind of soften the blow a little bit and not make them shit on the match. Becky heel turn was the best part. Already feels like ages ago. Well, I mean, Jesus. I mean, that whole the show. That's my number one impression of the show. The show's too damn long, and that's number one. But that's pretty much a criticism of all WWE pay-per-views these days. Overall, I'll be honest. I didn't hate the show. I wasn't in misery. My biggest knock on it was that it was too long. There were some matches I enjoyed. Some I didn't. Yeah, it was just one of those. There was nothing on the show I would call like match of the year worthy or anything like that, but it was fine for the most part. It was fine. That's basically my impression of it. It was fine. I wasn't miserable while watching it. I don't know if that's good enough to get me back to watching Raw and SmackDown every week, but I wasn't miserable. So with all of that said, let's jump into SummerSlam itself. And let me just start talking about it. How much better was TakeOver? TakeOver was better, but I'll have some things to say about that. Going over SummerSlam. Okay, we had the 3 pre-show matches, which I'll be honest, I only half paid attention to. The mixed tag match, Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega versus Rusev and Lana. It was what it was. Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight title. I actually forgot that Cedric Alexander won this match. I'm looking at it now. It's like, oh yeah, Cedric did go over, didn't he? I guess that's credit to how long the show is, but yeah, the match left no impression on me. It was just there. And B-Team versus the Revival, I actually missed the finish. I went to the bathroom during this match, and I completely missed the finish. I heard the B-Team went over, and that was confirmed later on the show when they did their backstage segment with The Miz. So that was that, and that pretty much covers the SummerSlam pre-show. Okay, who won Brock versus Roman? Roman won. Yep, it was all about Roman. Some idiot knocked down a light pole near my house during the Ronda match, so I didn't watch that or the main event. Damn. Yeah. Alrighty. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry that happened to you. But anyway, let's get into the main card. We started off with Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler. Dean Ambrose was in Seth Rollins' corner, and Dolph Ziggler was seconded by Drew McIntyre. This was for the Intercontinental Championship. Good match. I thought it was a good match. I thought Ambrose and Drew added an extra element there. I like that Ambrose canceling out Drew basically helped lead to the finish and Seth's ultimate victory, because that was kind of the thing in Seth's way, that he couldn't win because Drew was always out there helping Ziggler. So Dean was there to neutralize that. And yeah, that was good. Nice, good athletic match. My one major criticism, they did that spot where it was the reverse superplex into an inverted or a reverse DDT combo. And it looked amazing. And it wasn't the finish. They just did the curb stomp as the finish, which was normal. And it's one of those situations where I wish I was sitting in on the agents meetings, when they're mapping out these matches, and just be like, hey, that superplex spot you got there, that should probably be your finish. Just a thought. That's just my opinion. Because that's really the climax of the action, and you're not going to top it. So, that's just my personal opinion. But overall, I thought the match was good. It was a pretty good opener. The ordering of the matches was bad. It was very weird, but I'll cover that in a bit. I like Seth's Thanos outfit. You know what? I didn't even realize that's what he was doing. An ex called me 15 minutes before the main show started. The call lasted an hour and a half. Wasn't even mad. Well, it depends on what kind of terms you're on with the ex, I guess. But anyway, next up we got the SmackDown tag title match. The New Day, specifically Big E and Xavier Woods, taking on the Bludgeon Brothers. The New Day would win this match by disqualification, so the Bludgeon Brothers would retain the titles despite the loss. It was a better match than I expected. It was okay. A fairly basic tag match, but they clearly worked a little bit harder than what I was expecting them to. Not that I'm saying these teams are lazy. I just kind of expected this to be kind of a throwaway filler match, and it wasn't. It was, they kind of worked a real match, and it was fairly good. The disqualification wasn't my cup of tea, especially since there was a disqualification later in the show, which kind of makes this look worse. I didn't like that the weapon of choice was that Halloween store prop that isn't very convincing, that mallet that they use. But the match was overall fine. I was fine with the match overall. I was mostly unoffended by it, inaffended. Although I did make the point, isn't it funny that Bray Wyatt is not on the SummerSlam card at all, yet all the Wyatt family members are, and in either holding titles or holding the Money in the Bank and doing various other things. It's man, Bray's the least successful of the Wyatt family right now. No Asuka, Bayley, Sasha, or Ember on this show. That's very wrong. I don't feel like everybody has to be on every show, but, Okay, sounds like a lot of people like this match. Yeah, Big E's big spear through the apron spot is dangerous, and I keep waiting for him to get hurt doing that. I mean, it looks amazing, but it's just it's kind of a scary spot. Next up, we had Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens, where he defeated Owens in less than 2 minutes. The Money in the Bank contract was on the line, and all the stipulations involved in this meant nothing, as Strowman just basically killed him. I was okay with this because I feel like Braun Strowman should be killing people. I know Kevin Owens is an internet darling, and people don't like that he got fed and served to Braun Strowman on a silver platter, but to me, Braun Strowman should be having these type of matches, and Owens can recover from it. So it's more beneficial to make Strowman look like a monster, I think. Roman will lose it quick. The fans won't be happy. Although isn't Owens set to face Roman for the title sometime soon? So it's probably not the best idea to have him get squashed here if that's the case. No, I agree. Why even put the contract on the line if they're not going to do anything with that? I thought they were going to do the old Ken Shamrock versus The Rock thing where Strowman was just going to beat up Owens to the point where he gets disqualified, and that's how Owens would win the contract. And it looked like that's what was going to happen, but then he just beat him. And, yeah. So that was that match, although we would see Strowman later in the show. Then we got Charlotte Flair defeating Carmella and Becky Lynch in a triple threat match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Did he use the Money in the Bank or no? He threatened to use it, didn't get a chance to use it thanks to Lesnar, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so the women's title match I thought was overall solid. It was a little sloppy in places, but overall it was okay and mostly enjoyable. We did get the Becky Lynch heel turn after the match, which was fairly well done, although it's kind of indicative of the WWE kind of being out of touch with their audience. That Becky's clearly like the plucky underdog character that the fans like. And Charlotte is kind of like, I don't want to call her the Roman Reigns of the division, but kind of like she's the one that gets propped up all the time. And Becky's clearly the one that they like. So they were against Charlotte here. So when Becky turned heel on her, the fans fucking popped and they like cheered and chanted, "You deserve it" at Charlotte, and basically just cheered Lynch all the way through. So it's hard to the heel turn didn't get the desired effect because they just kind of went against the grain of what the fans actually want. Also, all the shit KO had been put through by Braun made sense in him killing KO. I had no idea. I don't know what Braun did to him other than the slam off the steel cage because I haven't been watching. Crowds always pop for warranted heel turns. I mean, there is that thing there where, based on what I saw in the video package building it up, they did that thing where it was supposed to be Becky versus Carmella one-on-one, and then Charlotte kind of got inserted into the match. And then Becky loses a triple threat match when she had Carmella beat. So yeah, you've got your motivation for the turn. So at least it makes sense. I give them credit for the turn making sense. It's just, why was Becky the one that they turned heel when, that's not what the fans want, but it is. The match was fine. Carmella, I made the comment on Twitter that she looks like she would be a total demon in the sack, and that continues here. She looks like she could wreck shit like nobody's business in the bedroom, and I'm okay with that. If that makes me sound like a pig, I don't care. Next up, we got Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. Samoa Joe would win this match by disqualification. This match was kind of what I feared it was going to be, in that it was a far lesser version of work they had done in the past. I've made the point before that Joe isn't quite what he used to be. And that kind of showed in this match. The match was very very slow paced, very plotting. Didn't really pick up until towards the end. Now Samoa Joe being a dickhead and going after targeting AJ's wife and kids and all that stuff was great. Doing it pre-match and then doing it towards the end of the match where AJ finally gets pissed off enough where he attacks Samoa Joe with a steel chair and gets disqualified. I know people don't like a disqualification, but that whole thing was, the "I'll be your daddy" line. Yeah, that was great. I thought that was awesome. And AJ's reaction to it was so filled with rage and passion. He had blood coming down his face. And that's the type of stuff I want. What is this? I'm sorry. Becky is a sexy heel. Can't wait to see what she can really do. I mean, I hope she's a really good heel. But anyway, AJ Joe Hell in a Cell. Well, you know what? If you put a little bit more heat on this, you could probably make this a worthy Hell in a Cell match for sure. But I like that whole ending and how it was done. And even AJ going back out to his wife and daughter, and his daughter, which clearly not scripted, his daughter looks at him and goes, "Daddy, you're bleeding." And that kind of tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. I was like, "Oh, poor little kid. Her daddy's bleeding. Poor little kid." So I thought it was fairly well done. I thought that whole ending was fairly well done. Not the biggest fan of the match itself. I thought the match itself was kind of okay-ish. Maybe went a little too long, but I thought the ending was great. And it's like, okay, maybe they can turn that into something. Maybe they found their spark. But what you saw in that ending there is kind of what I'm looking for from the WWE and all wrestling promotions. I want passion. I want anger. I want something I can sink my teeth into. I want intensity. I want blood. I want all of that good stuff. And so often the WWE feels sanitized and homogenized and very robotic and factory assembled. And when it doesn't feel that way, it's great. Which is one of the reasons I thought the the Elias segment was so good, where he's bragging that he's going to do this whole big concert thing, and then the guitar breaks. Now, this might be a credit to Elias as a performer. I could not tell if that was part of the bit, or if they planned, or if that was part of the bit, or if the guitar legitimately broke and Elias just kind of had to wing it. I don't know what happened. I legitimately don't know if that was planned or not. I don't care, because it looked great and it came off great, and it was actually legitimately funny, and it felt like a genuine reaction to something that actually happened. So it's one of those, if you told me that it actually happened, I could kind of believe it. And that's why I kind of it was a filler segment, but I kind of enjoyed it for that very reason. So, I know a lot of people kind of shit on non-wrestling segments, but I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was a good character builder for Elias. And I thought it was kind of funny, to be perfectly honest. Okay. Wow, that main event was short. Thank God. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia and all the match card times. Okay, next up after that, we got The Miz versus Daniel Bryan, which was probably the best built match on the show. I'll even say it was probably the match of the night. Of all the matches on the show, I'd say that was the one that I enjoyed the most. I thought Miz and Bryan did a lot of cool stuff with each other, with Bryan or Miz mimicking Bryan and trying to copy Bryan to prove he's just as good a wrestler as Bryan or better. And the main event bell to bell was 6 minutes and 10 seconds, which is exactly what I wanted it to be. But anyway, I thought Miz and Bryan was a really good match, really exciting. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't a huge fan of the finish, not so much that Miz cheated to win. I don't mind Miz going over, and him cheating to win is even better because it puts more heat on him. And hey, Hell in a Cell. If you want to do multiple Hell in a Cells, which you shouldn't do, but if you want to, I think Bryan and Miz kind of warrants it, and I think AJ and Joe, if it continues along this path, kind of warrants it. So, we'll see. But anyway, the finish, my problem with it was that Miz used a foreign object given to him by Maurice to hit Daniel Bryan and punch him across the face as he was doing a suicide dive, and then knocked Bryan out. I'm like, did the ref not see that? It felt like the ref should have seen that. I don't know. Maybe the object was hidden well enough in his hand that the ref couldn't see it. I don't know. But it felt like the ref should have caught it and should have disqualified Miz. But other than that, I thought the match was really good. I enjoyed it, and I have no problems with Miz going over because I'm a very heel-centric guy, and it allows the story to continue if the heels go over. Was it brass knucks? I couldn't even tell what it was. I wasn't. I'll be honest. I kind of I don't want to say I zoned out, but I just kind of sucked in the moment. I didn't even realize what it was Miz was holding in his hands. Win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat and never get caught. Wise words spoken by Bobby Heenan and Jesse Ventura. Actually, I don't think either of them ever said it. I think Monsoon always ascribed it to them, though. But the Brass Canucks... Brass pacifier. Was it a brass pacifier? Yeah, the baby was there. Actually, I thought when they did the segment later in the show where Bryan was being consoled by Brie, I thought that they were going to do a thing where Brie and Maurice were going to fight in the crowd, which didn't happen. But I thought, because it feels like, they're going to set up a match between Maurice and Brie at Evolution. Who knows? I guess I wouldn't be opposed to it because you got to fill that card out. But anyway, moving right along from there, Miz and Bryan, I thought was match of the night for this particular SummerSlam. Not like a perfect stellar match of the year candidate type of match, but perfectly enjoyable given the build-up, and I think they have potential to do better if the storyline continues, which, given that Miz went over, I think it should. All right, next up, we got Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin. We got to see the Demon. The entrance was cool. Finn looked cool, and he destroyed Baron Corbin in under, a minute and a half? I see a minute and 35 seconds. Thank God they got that match out of the way. Nobody cared, so they presented it in a way where people would care. Finn Balor destroyed Baron Corbin. We got to see the Demon with a really cool entrance. I'm surprised that you deemed Miz and Bryan best match. I personally thought it was slow and never took off. Hopefully their Hell in a Cell will go better. I thought AJ Joe was match of the night. See, I thought AJ and Joe was slow. Up until the last few minutes, I thought AJ and Joe was very slow. Opener was pretty good too. I thought the opener was good. We had 3 squash matches on this show, and I don't really have a problem with any of them. Granted, because the show was so long, and I'm like, just move along. Don't waste my time on anything that goes too long. Next up, we had the United States Championship. Shinsuke Nakamura defeating Jeff Hardy, successfully defending his title. The match was blah. The only noteworthy thing that happened was Jeff Hardy being a crazy son of a bitch and doing the Swanton Bomb onto the apron. And I'll talk more about this when I talk about EC3 and Velveteen Dream from TakeOver. But it looks like the apron spots are actually factoring into the finishes now. I kind of like that. He took a big risk. It didn't pay off. Killed him. He lost the match. The Phantom Low Blow was also kind of a neat spot where Nakamura was going for the low blow and missed. I thought that was a neat spot too. But other than that, I thought the match was kind of eh. DB and Miz, better match. Joe, AJ, better finish. I think that's fair. Yeah, Joe if he keeps throwing stingers like that, like I'll be your daddy. I mean, like he can talk all he wants. Yeah, that was scary, that spot from Jeff. I mean, Jeff's insane, so I mean that's the type of stuff he's known for. But overall, I wasn't that impressed with the match. I don't know why Randy Orton came out for absolutely no reason and did nothing. It was like, okay, are you all just filling time? This felt like you did that just to stretch time because it didn't really do anything. Is he going to attack Hardy? Nah, I don't feel like it by you. And I was like, oh, well, thank you for doing something absolutely not absolutely that affected nothing and impacted nothing and just kind of gave us a tease for the sake of having a tease. But anyway, next up we had Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. This went about exactly how I expected it to. First of all, it was nice to see Natty there wearing her dad's jacket from SummerSlam 1990. I thought that was neat and a very nice touch. Very Naito thing to do. Yeah. Yeah, you know, kind of a Naito type thing there. Except Naito would have done it in a way that enhanced the story. That didn't really feel like it did anything. Maybe because Orton is being investigated. Well, in that case, they wouldn't have had him even appear on camera. With these daddy issues, it reminds me of when Eddie and Ray had beef. Well, they got to settle a custody battle with a ladder match then, obviously. Probably one of the most ridiculous stipulations ever in a pro wrestling match. But the ladder match for Dominic. But anyway, Ronda versus Bliss went about exactly how I expected it to. It was cool to see Natty there. The Bellas getting in and congratulating Ronda felt a little forced because it feels like those two don't belong. But Ronda wearing the weird raccoon eye makeup was a little strange. But overall, the match went about exactly how I expected it to. Alexa's going to try and run away. Rousey's going to overpower her and kill her. That's pretty much exactly how the match went. I was fine with it. It was fun. Well, actually, I thought it was fun. It was for a squash match. I thought it was fun. It was just Ronda basically destroying Alexa and just twisting her arm. Oh, that finisher where she twisted Alexa's arm. That looked nasty. I forgot that Alexa could do that kind of like, not necessarily double jointed thing, but like that weird bendy thing with her arm. And it looked nasty. So, yeah, I thought the match, I wanted to see Natty and the Bellas turn on Ronda, but it was just lame. I thought they were going to, honestly. I thought they were going to do and set up something for Evolution, but it didn't happen. How was the Eddie Ray ladder match live? It was fun. I enjoyed the ladder match live. One of the better matches on that show. Yeah, they had Alexa play a little bit more of the coward throughout the match, which was fun. Like the cat and mouse aspect I thought was fun. And yeah, overall, I thought it was enjoyable for what it was. Presenting Alexa's strengths, which is being a shit heel and a coward and completely overpowered by a physically superior foe. And Ronda played her part well, looking like a complete cyborg, just destroying Alexa Bliss. So it was fine for what it was. Then we had the main event. Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Reigns is now the new champion. Felt like the crowd was going to shit on this match, but then Braun Strowman comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase and says that he is going to challenge the winner of this match and cash in the minute this match is over. It felt like this was a false flag to kind of keep the fans from shitting on the match. Because we were all like, oh, God, once it's over, Braun's going to cash in. Braun's going to cash in and save us all. Didn't happen. During the match, Lesnar F5'd Strowman outside the ring and then tossed the briefcase all the way up the stage. Nice throw, by the way. Roman Brock at SummerSlam greater than Roman Brock at 34. Well, I mean, that's not a hard thing to accomplish. That main event was sickeningly blue ballsy. Yeah, they blue balled us there on Braun. Braun and Brock with the blue balls on all of us. How many B's can I fit in there? Yeah, Joe versus AJ Styles for custody of all of his children. That would be bizarre. But Yeah, the match itself, it felt like just kind of like, let's get in there, get out of there, because the fans are going to shit on this match. Let's just get out of there and just get it over with as soon as possible, which they did. And honestly, as somebody who felt the show was going long anyway, I was happy that they got it over with as quickly as they possibly could. So despite like the cock teasing with Braun Strowman cashing in, what are your thoughts on Becky Lynch's heel turn? It was well executed. They just didn't get the reaction they wanted because the fans cheered her. It's like, man, okay. At least Raw has a world title again, which that we should be happy about. Yeah. The best part was Brock screaming, "Get this fucking chair." I actually missed that. I didn't hear that. That's kind of cool. That actually, you know what? I did hear it. That's the part where he got bleeped out. Cool. Always cool to have those kind of attitude era tendencies work their way into the PC culture of current day WWE. But overall, SummerSlam, I didn't hate the show. I didn't love the show. Some of it was enjoyable, and the stuff I thought I was going to hate, they managed to book in a way that kept me from hating it. So if I had to assign a letter grade to it, I'd probably go C. I think C is a fair grade for it. For a show that was overly long and for a show that had potential to have a lot of things on it that I was going to hate, I thought they got out of it mostly okay. And it wasn't a completely painful experience to sit there and watch it. So I'll be nice and give it a C. So with Roman being the new champ, who are the next 5 guys to be fed to him? Well, I think Owens is up next, right? Isn't that what they're planning? Charlotte's a natural heel. Solid B, okay. So sounds like some people liked it more than I did. I expected people to come on here and just completely shit on the show. So I'm actually surprisingly one of the more negative ones. Yes, we can talk about TakeOver. So that was SummerSlam. Let's move on to NXT Takeover, which happened last night. That show was the definition of okay. I think that's a fair assessment of SummerSlam. It was okay. But anyway, NXT TakeOver. Won't talk about the pre-show matches because that's going to be airing on NXT next week, so don't even bother. My thoughts on NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. I'm going to watch my words here because I might get in trouble. It wasn't up to the usual standard of most NXT takeovers. That's not to say it was bad. I thought it was really enjoyable. And if any other wrestling promotion put on these type of shows consistently, I'd be happy with it. It's just that NXT sets a pretty high bar for the takeovers. And this one just wasn't good as some of their ones, even this year. Not up to the usual standard of NXT takeovers. Did you see me in the TakeOver crowd? I don't know what you look like, dude. I wouldn't even know what to look for. WrestleMania 30 is the closest to a TakeOver to date. SummerSlam came somewhat close, but nah. TakeOver was slightly better than SummerSlam. Oh, so maybe I wasn't the only one. It's still good. Yeah, blasphemy. I'm going to hell. Yeah, TakeOver this year, or this month, yesterday, it was a good show overall. I would even go as far to say I enjoyed every match on this show to some extent. It just wasn't that runaway grand slam that we typically get out of takeovers. It was just pretty good overall when I expect amazing from takeovers. Just didn't happen. But let's jump into the matches right now. We had the Undisputed Era successfully defending the NXT Tag Team titles against Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate and Trent Seven for the NXT Tag Team Championship. I would say match of the night, very good, excellent tag team action. I like the callbacks to the towel spot on NXT. I didn't think this match was as good as their previous matches, but it was still really good and very good even. Match of the night on this show, I thought. Even if some of the finisher kickouts got a little ridiculous, they did the burning hammer spot, and that led to a kickout. I'm like, oh, come on. You're getting ridiculous. Gargano is an idiot. We'll get into that when we talk about the main event. Thoughts on Velveteen Dream's pants? Did he write? Did he have heat for that? He wrote, Vince, call me up, or something like that on his tights. I thought that was great. But anyway, staying with the tag match, I thought the tag match was very, very good. It was match of the night. Some of the finisher kickouts were a little ridiculous, and a little bit of that kind of like indie-rific style that I know a lot of people look down on. But overall, I thought the match was very good. Nice work from all four men. And I especially popped that War Machine, now dubbed the War Raiders from NXT, came out, made their presence known, and have made their intentions clear that they're targeting the Undisputed Era for the Tag Team Championship. So we have that to look forward to. We're getting a Ring of Honor match. We're going to get Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong versus War Machine. So that should be very cool. I'm really looking forward to that. Let's see. Triple H mentioned Dream's pants in the Facebook post show. Triple H allegedly didn't know about the pants beforehand. Why would he have heat for that? I think it's funny. It's clever. This takeover was the most consistent takeover I can remember. The lows weren't so forgettable, and the highs, whilst being very high, aren't quite ultimate highs that we've been spoiled with this year. Also a fair assessment, I'd say, overall. Anyway, next match, we had Velveteen Dream defeating EC3, a match that I was very excited for and I was really looking forward to. I'm really high into both of these guys. It just didn't click. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know if it was EC3 getting hurt because I saw that he got his eye swollen shut. I don't know if the guys just don't have chemistry. I don't know if it was the fact that they had to follow a really hot tag match. I don't know what it was, but this match just didn't click, and I was really disappointed in it because I thought these two could make magic together, and it just didn't go as well as I'd hoped it would. Now, the one thing I did love about this match, Velveteen Dream's tights, I thought were great. Call me up, Vince, or whatever it was. I can't believe he would have heat for that. I think that that's just really creative and cool, but I thought the match... The match had probably my favorite finish of the night, and I alluded to this earlier with the Jeff Hardy-Nakamura match. I like that the apron spots, which they always put over as the hardest part of the ring, but it never leads to anything and never impacts the match. Well, we had two matches in 2 nights where the finish came from big moves that happened on the apron. Velveteen Dream hit the Death Valley Driver, or was he called the Dream Valley Driver? On EC3 on the apron, which looked sick. And then he did his fucking huge elbow drop on the apron as well and knocked EC3 out, rolled him in the ring and pinned him. So the finish was great. I love the finish. Match itself was kind of okay, not to the quality I would have expected out of these two. Favorite finish of the night was the women's title match. Well, I guess I'll talk about that right after I get through this match. North American Championship, Ricochet defeating Adam Cole to become the new champion. Again, I kind of expected this match to be amazing, and it was kind of... It was good. It was a pretty good match. It wasn't a great runaway hit match of the year quality match, which I think a lot of us were expecting. I think Adam Cole played his role really well. Ricochet looked like he took a while to get going. The last 5 minutes of this match were great, where Ricochet was doing all these amazing things, and some of the spots they did were nuts. That super kick spot that Cole did to block the moonsault from Ricochet was insane. And Ricochet, some of his high-flying antics, I mean, if you've ever seen the guy before, you know he's capable of some really insane crap. And he saved all of his really good stuff for the very end, which I guess makes sense. You want to save the good stuff for the climax, but it was just getting there. It was kind of a tale of two matches. Like the first half of the match was kind of dull, and then it really picked up at the end. So overall, pretty good match. Probably my second favorite match on the show. Not as good as I expected it to be, though. It was just a really good match, though. Cole Ricochet was a spot fest, but that's okay. I didn't really feel like it was a spot fest up until the very end. All my friends said that Cole Ricochet was match of the night. I could see people saying that. That flip into the super kick was amazing. Yeah, that looked really friggin' cool. That was like a Shawn Michaels eat your heart out type situation, because I remember when he did something similar to Shelton Benjamin, but it wasn't coming out of a flip. So that looked really cool. So yeah, Ricochet and Cole, I thought, had a pretty good match. Not a great one. Not like a runaway match of the year quality match, which I think a lot of people were expecting out of them. Next up was the NXT Women's Championship, Kairi Sane defeating Shayna Baszler. Good match. Again, not one of the best women's title matches in NXT history, but a good match. Perfectly good match with Shayna playing the bully and the submission expert who was just twisting Kairi into a pretzel, and some of that looked brutal, especially in the early going. It was a consistently good, consistently exciting match all the way throughout. And it was just good. They did the kind of the WrestleMania 8 spot with Brett and Piper, where Brett rolled out of a sleeper hold to roll on top for the pinfall. I thought the finish was cool. I liked that. Thought it was very cool. And the match itself was good. And you got a shock title win out of it as well, with Kairi Sane winning the NXT Women's title. So it'll be very, very interesting to see who Kairi Sane faces next, because I felt like they could have gotten more steam out of Shayna as top heel of that division, but maybe they've got something cool lined up for Kairi. Maybe Bianca Belair will be the next one to challenge for the title. Good match, but Shayna should have gone over. I kind of feel that way, but I don't know what their plan is moving forward, so I'll reserve judgment. Yep. Okay. Sorry, I'm just reading all. I think Shayna Baszler's match last night was better than their Mae Young's Classics finals match. I agree with that. I do think it was better than their first match at the Mae Young Classic. Baszler's she plays her character very well. I like Baszler a lot. So anyways, I enjoyed it was a good women's match. It was a perfectly good match, but kind of continues the trend of match was good, not great, which this takeover kind of had. And then we had the main event, Tommaso Ciampa defeating Johnny Gargano in a last man standing match for the NXT Championship. I'd say it's the weakest of the three matches that they've had so far. It was still very good, though. I liked a lot of the things that they did. Ciampa plays his character to perfection, just a perfect heel. Some criticisms of the match, I felt like they took a little too long to set up some spots for very little payoff. Like, they took a long time to set up that double table spot where Johnny stacked the two tables on top of each other, but it was like back to back. So that's supposed to make it like a harder hit, but it didn't really, the payoff to that spot didn't really feel that great. And that was a long walk for a short glass of water. Didn't really pay off as well. But I like spots like Johnny Gargano sitting in a chair, counting Johnny down with the 10, and then Johnny getting up and super kicking him or doing whatever he did. So there was some really good stuff in that main event. And I thought overall was very well worked. I liked all the callbacks to their previous matches where Ciampa exposed, pulled the ring mat away and exposed the wood of the ring flooring. But it gets turned around where Ciampa's the one that gets slammed into it this time. And Johnny also flipped around the DIY turn where he ended up throwing Tommaso Ciampa into the staging area. So that was such a Triple H-esque finish Ciampa did to win. Well, I'm going to get to talk about that in a minute. The crowd sounded split during the main event. Yeah, there was kind of a split there. Not like heavy 50-50, but it felt like there was definitely a split there. Did you laugh your ass off at Paul Heyman spraying Roman in the face? I kind of did, seeing the video package. But anyway, then we go into the finish. I totally get the story that they were trying to tell here where Johnny's anger is getting the best of him. It cost him the last match. It caused Ciampa to win the title in the first place. And they did that again for the finish here. So it feels like at this point, like Johnny doesn't learn from his mistakes, but it's okay. You want to do that story again. I get it. He's too overzealous. He's too focused on revenge. And that gets the better of him. I mean, they did the same thing with Thor and Thanos and Star-Lord and Thanos and Infinity War. Don't mean to spoil Infinity War for the three of you who haven't seen it. It's that same type of story. I'm like, okay, I get it. That's fine. Again, it's all about the execution. I didn't like how it was achieved because it kind of looked like a Three Stooges pratfall where Johnny just went flying off the stage. And to me, it looked kind of ridiculous. Some people in my section said it should have been a draw. I could have lived with a draw, but again, I just feel like the finish could have been done better overall. I'd never say no to the kind of hardcore style Ciampa Gargano match, but I was really looking forward to the triple threat match. I was too. I think the triple threat match would have been something different and given us a nice little roadblock before getting Ciampa and Gargano one-on-one again, because it felt a little repetitive here. It's like I felt like we'd kind of already seen it. How would I have done the finish? I probably would have done something like you've seen, like the spear through the guardrail and that type of stuff. I would have done something like that where Johnny spears him, but they both go through the wall, and Johnny hurt himself without intending to do it, or spears him off the stage or whatever, and then it's a draw. And you get that same story without it looking silly. I hated how Kurt got bitched out during the build by Brock when he was the last person afraid of Lesnar. I actually missed that. I don't remember seeing that, but sure. They should give Ciampa Gargano a break until TakeOver Mania weekend. That'd be cool if they waited that long to do the next match. It's a damn shame that Black got hurt. I agree. Is Gargano overrated? It seems like the crowd is turning on him. He's not overrated. I think they're just making his character look like an idiot because this is the third time that the anger and his revenge, his quest for revenge is blown up in his face. And it's like, all right, he's got to start learning from his lessons here because now he's just looking stupid and fans are kind of recognizing it as him looking stupid. So they should probably work on fixing that. But anyway, I thought the match was really good. The finish... again, could have been done better. Although I did kind of like our Ciampa kind of like barely getting his feet on the floor off the stage to count as standing up before the count of 10. So that was kind of neat, kind of like a JBL-esque heel moment there. But overall, the main event was really, really good, hampered by a few things, probably the repetitive nature of the match, and the finish wasn't particularly strong. So my thoughts on NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Very lively crowd. I thought the crowd was great all throughout the night. Very lively. I thought the matches were mostly good, just not as great as I typically get out of a TakeOver special. So I thought the show overall was really, really good. Just not the great show that you typically get out of TakeOver. And some of those things probably could have been fixed with a couple booking changes here and there. Sorry, I'm just looking at your comments. Who do you think Lars is going after when he returns? I have no idea. In the high package, Kurt seemed afraid of him and got F5 by Brock, even though he's been beat by Brock before. Yeah, but Kurt's retired and has a broken neck. It's kind of like he's kind of like a broken man at this point. So it's like Kurt doesn't have to look strong against Brock, I don't think. Draven G, welcome. Where at least Roman's coronation is no longer looming over all of our heads anymore. Actually, they got to a point, credit to the WWE, they got to a point where I was actually rooting for the coronation because I just couldn't stand seeing Roman and Brock anymore. It's like, good, this isn't going to end until Roman wins, so just for the love of God, just have Roman go over and we can finally be done with it. So we're finally over that speed bump, and hopefully we can just move on from there, and hopefully they get something to work. So, people were chanting, call him up after Velveteen won, and I think during the match too. I didn't catch that, but that's pretty neat. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So those are my thoughts on NXT TakeOver. I thought it was a really good show, better than SummerSlam, not as good as previous TakeOvers. So I actually made a comment on my stream earlier today. I made the comments like, I thought Slammiversary was better than TakeOver. I know that might be an unpopular thing to say, but I thought Slammiversary was overall a better show, better than both TakeOver and SummerSlam. So, wow, Impact Wrestling actually putting on a quality show that tops other federations. When was the last time you could say that? One guy to my left said, call him up and book him properly. You're asking way too much there. Yeah, I envision Velveteen turning into Tyler Breeze, where they'll be like, oh, look how colorful he is. We can just have him go out there and do the entrance, and then they won't put any more thought into it, which is a shame because Tyler was one of the best guys they had in NXT, and then they fucked him up. But what can you do? All right, so before I sign off for tonight, does any more questions for me? How many stars did Meltzer give Sammy Pentagon? I'm asking. Yeah, Slammiversary was amazing. Sammy Pentagon should have been 5 stars. How many stars did Meltzer give it? I'm just curious. Tyler was great in NXT. He was outstanding. And it's a shame that he doesn't get recognized as one of like the greats from NXT's history because he was amazing. Do you want to come with me to watch G1 Supercard? I'm still talking to my friends about that. We may get tickets off StubHub. So I might be going anyway. Slammiversary, it went neck and neck with TakeOver quality-wise, but they went the extra mile with the hardcore matches. Yeah, they did. They had like 3 hardcore matches on there, and they were all really good. At least Sammy Pentagon was one of my top 10 matches of the year, to be perfectly honest. I would like to see a heel Kurt versus Bryan for Mania. I think they might be setting up Bryan versus AJ for next year's Mania if they're able to re-sign Bryan. Next takeover I go to, you're invited. I appreciate that. Meltzer gave it 4.25. You know what? I can take that. I can handle that. I thought Dave would like undersell it, but it's like 4.25. I can handle that. What are your thoughts on Dave's comments on that girl from the Iconics? I made the comment earlier, like the phony outrage surrounding it's just weird to me because I don't know. And this is where kind of the PC culture thing gets under my skin, where it's like everybody's like white knighting Peyton and everything. They're white knighting her. And I just kind of feel like, guys, look, people are critical of men's bodies all the time. Like I've called Cassius Ohno a straight up fat fuck. I was in a Ring of Honor crowd that chanted "you fat fuck" at Matt Hardy, and nobody cares when you do it to a guy, but you make one comment about a woman and everybody just kind of loses their goddamn minds. And I'm like, wait a minute, they want equality, right? So they have to take all the criticism that goes with it. Now, do I agree with Meltzer's comment that she's overweight? Based on the last time, I haven't seen Peyton since she was in NXT, so I couldn't tell you, but based on what I saw from her months ago, no, she's not overweight at all. I think that's a ridiculous statement, but I think the outrage over it was fairly ridiculous. Because it's just Meltzer being a critic again. You can call him stupid, but everybody just kind of losing their minds over the comment to me is kind of silly. And Peyton reacting to it is even sillier because it's like, girl, why do you care what Meltzer has to say? That's just ridiculous. This year's G1 final is my pick for match of the year. I still need to watch it. I'm going to get caught up in the G1 climax this week. What would you rather see at Mania? Bryan versus Miz, Bryan versus Styles, or Styles versus Rollins? I could go for any one of those, actually. To be perfectly honest, I'd enjoy any one of those. He was referring to her getting her boobs done. Well, did she get her boobs done? If she did, then there you go. Watch the G1. I'm getting on it. I'll get on it. I haven't watched any of the shows from August yet. I'm still getting caught up. I was too busy this week filming videos. Have you all gotten sick of me this week? Because I've been filming videos nonstop. I feel like I'm getting ready to lose my voice, actually. She did get breast implants. So it's like, yeah, if that's all Meltzer was commenting on, then how can she get mad at him commenting on it? Or maybe she just misunderstood. I don't know. Maybe she thought he was commenting on her weight when he was really just commenting on her breasts. I will not. We went through an entire stream without her being activated. I feel good about that. I feel pride that I managed to outlast my Echo Dot and not activate it. Although I'm surprised because it is turned on and she didn't hear me at all during the Ronda Bliss match. I almost screwed up there, but nope. Too much content. Yeah, I know. I'm overexposing my brand. Very much like the WWE. I don't practice what I preach. I might take all my videos from this week and put them into a playlist because Jesus Christ, there's no way that y'all could keep up with that. Not to plant any ideas in your head, but Ishii versus Goto, sweet baby Jesus. All right, I'll have to check that out. Was that one of the G1 Climax matches I haven't seen yet? Because if so, that's a nice endorsement. All right, so to sum up both shows, letter grade for NXT, I'm lingering on like A-, B+. I kind of like, I think I'm going to go with a B. This might be the first takeover that I might not give an A. I think I'm going to give it a B. And SummerSlam, I'm going to give a C overall because I didn't hate it and it was mostly okay throughout, but there was nothing like truly stand out and great on it. Ibushi versus Ishii was the best of G1. Okay. Ibushi versus Omega was also, that's the one I wanted to see, was Ibushi versus Omega. That was the match I really wanted to see. So New Orleans was still takeover of the year. I agree with that. Yeah, the WrestleMania weekend one was friggin' fantastic. So I think I've said all there is to say here. So hopefully you all enjoyed my week of videos. If you haven't seen them yet, I did a What Went Wrong which I actually twisted around and did a what went right, talking specifically about Zeus. I did a top 10 SummerSlam match centered around Bret Hart, where I basically just ranked his SummerSlam matches. I did a live stream for Saturday Night's Main Event and Clash of Champions yesterday. I did a live stream for SummerSlam 1991 earlier today. And I did this live stream right here. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Hopefully you all enjoyed SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver. Heavy weekend for wrestling this week. What went right? All of Patrick's videos this week. Oh, I also did a preview for SummerSlam, NXT, and All In. So if you want to see my previews for the shows, you can check that out as well. Specifically for All In, which hasn't happened yet, so it's still not a completely outdated video yet. So that is all I have for you right now. Once again, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. But I think I'm going to sign off here for tonight. It's almost midnight. I want to watch Venture Brothers, so I'm going to watch that right before going to bed. So cheers, everybody. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully you all have a good week. And I'll be back next week for more, so don't go away.